The neoclassical approach is economics. I think it's a bit construed or misconstrued to think that economics is lots of different schools. I think that's kind of a misrepresentation of the way we work. We teach consumer theory. We teach the theory of the firm. We teach possibly the theory of governments and how they tax and spend or should do so. We also think about labor markets. Most of that's based on the notion that people have some freedom to choose, and they have to choose within constraints. And firms also have resources at their disposal, and firms are acting in the interests of the owners of the firm, and therefore they're also trying to do the best they can. These are like really basic assumptions. And the neoclassical approach to economics is economics, as far as I'm concerned. We can quibble and talk about what works and what doesn't work as well in neoclassical economics, and that will give rise to, say, the Keynesian critique, which is worth talking about. Or you can talk about other critiques of neoclassical economics, for example, not paying enough attention to the distribution of income across individuals or between capital and labor. All these are legitimate critiques. Okay, but I just to make it, in my view, pretty clear that neoclassical economics is kind of the game. If you do economics, you have to make some assumptions, and deductively you work from those assumptions to see where it takes you. And it may lead to a complete contradiction, and if it does, then you probably have to go back to the drawing board. It's a mistake to think that macroeconomics is simply a sum of microeconomic agents acting in a consistent way, because we have this feeling that small frictions and small imperfections can have first-order effects on the behavior of this agglomeration of individual behavior. There are different ways of thinking about the world. We have observations. The observation is the price level doesn't move very much over the business cycle. The inflation rate is rather sticky. Quantities move a lot, so GDP may rise and fall around its trend by up to 4 or 5% over the business cycle. The debate in economics is how to best explain that. So there's the neoclassical approach, which says that basically this is an equilibrium. People are out of work, but it's something that we have to accept. Okay, basically they've either they're intentionally out of work, which is the radical view, and one that may not find much endorsement in the real world, or it also could be the consequence of contracts that people wrote down, and the changing states of nature have put them out of work, and then they have to sort of reorganize their lives to catch up and pick up the pieces. The other version of the world is what Keynes promoted, which was that a little bit of friction in the economy, a little bit of rigidity in the way companies set their wages and prices. Companies tend to set prices, but they also set wages. We know that is true as well. But also wages are set in contracts that may have durations of 1 or 2 years, and these things kind of make it difficult to really take the neoclassical assumption to the limit. And the consequence of those frictions, or rigidities as we call them, is that we'll have more fluctuation of quantities than we will of prices. And that's why we, as a first approximation, use the ISTR diagram to help explain these short-run fluctuations. If we're willing to make the assumption that prices don't adjust instantly to fluctuations in demand, then this Keynesian assumption becomes very, very relevant.